Hi everyone, Flaming Footy here and welcome back to a new YouTube video on the channel. And today guys, we are here for another 3-game match reviews. Yes, here we are again for another 3-game match reviews. In this video, I'm going to be reviewing the final 3 games of round 19 of the 2022 AFL season. And I'll tell you, as per normal, we learned a lot from these games. 3 massive games here. So we're not going to waste any time. I'm going to go ahead, hop right into things. So the games we're going to be reviewing are Carlton vs GWS, Collingwood vs Essendon, West Coast vs St Kilda. I'll tell you, these were some massive games, starting off with Carlton vs GWS, Sunday Arvo footy. Alright, so Sunday Arvo footy, first game on a Sunday at Marvel Stadium. It was Carlton 13-12-90 that smashed the Giants 8-6-54. It was another really disappointing performance from the Giants. They've had a fair few of them in the past few weeks. But for Carlton, you do feel like there was more of a chance for percentage here. They probably could have won by 50 rather than 36, but they still get the job done, and it doesn't matter. They still win, and they still do it pretty comfortably anyway. And the Giants, they were up for the challenge in the first quarter. They contended in the first half, really, but it was just in the third quarter where Carlton just kicked a couple of goals to get away. They kicked 4 goals, Carlton. The Giants kicked 2. Carlton were up by 2 goals at the final change, and then, in the last quarter, they absolutely went bang. And the horror season for the Giants, which looks like they'll probably end up finishing in the bottom 4, which after making finals last year would be a very disappointing result from a semi-final to a bottom 4 finish, and could be worse. They could even finish in 16th position. So, they could really drop down the ladder as far as 16th for the Giants. But there is still time to mend this season and try and push for a 14th and knock a team like, knock a team like Adelaide into the bottom 4 and even try and push Essendon or Hawthorn down. But it's going to be pretty tough for the Giants to avoid a bottom 4 finish, and they haven't been great in the past few weeks. But to the Carlton side, they were brilliant again. They've been looking pretty good. A few games have been pretty inconsistent. But look, again, this was a really solid performance. 34 disposals for Paddy Cripps, 4 goals for Charlie Curnow, 6 tackles for Matthew Kennedy, 123 fantasy for Tim Taranto. Carlton comfortable winners in the end. 123 fantasy for Taranto, 121 for Cripps, 116 for Sard, 109 for Doherty, 105 for Kennedy and Bruce, 103 for Himmelberg, 102 for Walsh, 101 for Curnow Setterfield, 100 for Chera. Now to goals and behinds we go. 4 for Curnow. Again, I reckon he might be leading the Coleman medal race. In fact, we'll actually might have to go and check out some stat leaders at the end of this video. Maybe, if we have time. 3 goals for Toby Green, 2 for Harry Mackay, 2 for Cottrell and Cornelio. Disposals, 34 for Cripps, 31 for Walsh, 30 for Taranto. Now the marks, 12 for Sard, 10 for Curnow, Mackay, Doherty, 9 for Wiedering, 8 for Setterfield and Taranto. Tackles, 6 for Kennedy, Chera and Were. 5 for Walsh, Cornelio, Ward and Taranto. Hitouts now, 36 for Bruce, 12 for Zakoning, 11 for Briggs, 5 for Mackay, 2 for Zivani, 1 for Zach Spreyer. Now to team stats, where the Blues had a heap more footy. They won disposals in about, I'd say about 70. Just a little quick maths there. Not great, but they're probably about 70, I would say. 70-ish. They won the inside 50 count by 8. And anything else? The Giants won in the hitouts and every aspect of the clearance count as well. They won centre and stoppage clearances as well as the all tallied up clearances. The Blues had more contested and uncontested footy, took way more marks inside 50, 2 more contested marks, 11 more intercepts than the Giants. Led for most of the game and were definitely deserving winners. This was an important win for Carlton. Again, another one that, because the Doggies are nearing, this was the win that they needed to, again, put a lot of distance between them and the Dogs, and they've done exactly that, and I feel like we have a pretty clear top 7. Now on to Collingwood vs Essendon, where this could potentially be game of the round or second game of the round behind Richmond, Freo, or third game of the round. We've had some absolute crackers this round of footy for sure. Collingwood 12-8-80 defeat the Bombers 11-10-76. The Pies keep their win streak alive. They almost choked though, I'll tell you that. But they keep their win streak alive. They've won I don't know how many close games in a row now. But they win by 4 against the Bombers. Jamie Elliott does it after the siren. Kicks a very tough goal. Almost Dom Sheed-like clutchness. But yeah, it was superb for the Pies. and they win after, well, coughing up the game from a point where they should have won it. Definitely should have had the game locked away at quarter time and should have been winning this game by a fair bit. But no, they were choking at one stage. They were up by 37 points after a 6-goal to naught start. They led 38-1 at quarter time. And then in the second quarter, this is where the momentum just starts to come back to the Bombers. They just start wriggling their way back. And all of a sudden, they're down by a couple of goals. And then the third quarter, that is where the damage is dealt. They kick 5 more goals. And they lead, and then they kick the first goal in the last quarter as well, and they lead by 21. And then Redmond, was it Redmond? No, it was Jones, had a shot on goal about 40 metres out, directly in front, hits the post, looked like it was going through, hits the post, and then Collingwood have to go coast to coast. Jamie Elliott, 2-on-1, marks it in the pocket, has a shot, kicks it right through the middle to Jamie Elliott. Big last quarter for him. 38 disposals for Zach Merritt, 3 goals for Ash Johnson, 121 fantasy for Zach Merritt, 8 tackles for Will Stanley. But what a game of footy it was, really close. Had a few of these close games over the weekend, so it's been really exciting. Really good round of footy. 121 fantasy for Merritt, 117 for Heppel, 104 for Shield, 94 for Snelling, 89 for Durham, 82 for Dacos, Adams, Martin, and Ridley. Goals and behinds we go now. 3 goals for Johnson, Wright, 2 for Elliott, Myercheck, Carmichael, the sub, Guelphy. Disposals now, 38 for Merritt, 30 for Shield, 28 for Adams, 26 for Heppel. Now to the marks, 11 for Heppel, 10 for Durham, 8 for Wright, tackles, 8 for Snelling, 7 for Stringer, 6 for Bianco and Caldwell, 5 for Pendlebury. Hobbs. Hit-outs now, 24 for Cox, 16 for Draper, 10 for Cameron and Phillips. So now to the team stats we go. Where the Bombers had more of the footy, went inside 50 more times than the Pies. They owned this game in the in the second and third quarter, and for half of the fourth quarter. So you could say the Bombers were the better of the sides for, well, more of the game than Collingwood. But Collingwood somehow, again, like they have been able to just somehow scrape past, somehow win. The Bombers were pretty good out of the clearance as well. But yeah, the Pies somehow scrape past, somehow win. Like they have been doing in the past few weeks, plenty more marks to the Bombers. But yeah, what a game of footy. And Collingwood, they did end up leading for more of the game than the Bombers. But what a ripping game of footy. This game had everything. It had really closeness. Collingwood now are in the top 4, if you can believe that. I don't know if I really can. But they are in the top 4. And the Bombers, they are, I think, would be in 14th. But what a ripping game of footy. The Pies almost choked. They somehow managed to hang on for another ripping win, though. Somehow, ripping game of footy. But yeah, it was the Pies that ended up winning this one by 4 points in an absolute thriller where Jamie Elliott kicks the game winner. And again, doing this nicely and quickly for you guys, even though it's going out next day, but still listen live button right there, ready to go. Pre-recorded, of course, ready for the next day straight away. But anyway, yep, doing it straight after the game. West Coast 10-2, 10-2, 10-2, 10-2. Wow. 10-2, you don't see that very often. Insane accuracy by West Coast, congratulations. West Coast 10-2, 62, St Kilda 14-6, 90. So the Saints were just too strong in the end. But it took them a long time to get there, though. And the Eagles, they were in this game for 3 quarters. But it was the Saints that did lead for majority of the time. It was a very interesting second quarter, however, 4 goals to the Eagles and then 7 to the Saints. So it was a high-scoring quarter. The Saints, though, did definitely have the upper hand at half-time. Only 1 goal for the Saints, but 2 to the Eagles, which brought them right back within touching distance at 3-quarter time. And then it was like, can the Eagles run away with this? Which there's been a few times this year where it's been like, well, the Eagles definitely have capability of running away with this, but they just don't. They just never do. And it was like this with Carlton a few weeks back, where they were in the game for 3 quarters, or 2.5 quarters, should I say, and then they just absolutely let go of all their hard work and absolutely get smashed, which is again what happened in this game, which West Coast right now just can't play a 4-quarter game, I just don't think. And then in the end, the Saints ended up kicking 4 goals to 1 in that last quarter, which again undoes all of West Coast's hard work, because they could have lost by probably about 16 points, but in the end it's out to 28. which makes the scoreboard hurt you even more. 62 to 90 isn't a great way to finish. Meanwhile, 62 to 78 is not too bad. But yeah, unfortunately enough, the Eagles get smashed again, and due to a pretty poor last quarter. But for the Saints on the upturn, it was a really good performance. They needed this. They needed a good performance like this to just go. Say to their supporters, we can still make finals. We can still do this. There's still belief in the club. 40 disposals for Jack Steele, 5 goals for Dan Butler. The small forward, Dan Butler, been missing a bit this year. I'm not sure whether it's been injury or just not playing well, but that's a solid performance. 154 fantasy for Steele, 11 tackles for Crouch. Now, I'm just going to go and have a look at disposals again, because I believe that there was somebody from West Coast. Yeah, Kelly. He racked up 4 for the game. So that's a disappointing number for Tim Kelly, because he's normally up there with about 20, 30. But unfortunately enough for him, he doesn't get a lot of the footy in this one. Maybe carrying an injury. But we're not going to be starting off at disposals, sorry. We're going to be starting off at fantasy. 154 for Steele, 147 for Crouch, 115 for Redden, 109 for Williams, 107 for Marshall, 101 for Duggan, 5 goals for Butler, 2 for Darling, Higgins, Membry, King, Kennedy, and Rotham. Oh, no, not match report. Sorry about that. Finger mistouch. Missed what I wanted to get. But anyway, disposals, 40 for Steele, 31 for Crouch, 27 for Ross, 26 for Brass and Sinclair. Now to the marks we go. 10 for Duggan, 8 for Steele. 10 for Duggan, 10 for Steele, 9 for Edwards, 8 for Redden, Barras and Wilkie. Tackles, 11 for Crouch, 8 for Redden and Steele, 7 for Shuey, Jai Cully and Ben Long. 48 hitouts for Owen Marshall. That is an exceptional number. 23 hitouts for Williams, with 6 tackles for Marshall, 5 for Williams, 7 hitouts for Rotham, 4 for Membry and Lenitz, 1 for Darling. But yeah, big game footy for the Saints. They end up winning. They win the disposal, kick, handball and inside 50 count. They win the hit-out count and clearance count, as well as centre clearances, but the Eagles did beat them around the stoppage clearances, however. And now, let's see, anything else? The Saints led for most of the game. Were definitely deserving winners, with their biggest margin being the winning margin. But yeah, this was West Coast's chance to maybe snare another win, is what I thought. But they will still have a few other chances with West Coast, but yeah, the Saints just too strong. This was the performance they needed. They needed a strong performance to say, right, we're still here. We can still make finals, and some club belief will get around them now. This was a massive winner for the Eagles. Another chance, perhaps, went missing due to a fail of a last quarter, a pretty poor last quarter for the Eagles. So there we have it. 2 pretty not so great games and 1 ripping game that we have in this 3-game match review. So let's go back, rewind the round. What did we have? Well, Richmond and the Dockers played out in a draw on Friday night. The Hawks smashed the Roos. The Swans pretty comfortably got over the Crows. The Cats got past the Power. The Lions got past the Suns. And the Doggies got past the Demons. The match reviews from these 3 games was a ripping one, so I'd definitely go ahead and check that one out if you haven't already. And then Carlton comfortably got over the Giants, Saints comfortably over the Eagles, and the Pies with a kick after the siren to beat the Bombers. What a ripping round of footy it was. Round 20, what have we got? Well, a massive game, 5th versus 2nd. All of a sudden it becomes the Dockers and the Demons. That's probably the biggest game of the round. Collingwood versus Port Adelaide is the first game on the Saturday, and then the second game on the Saturday is the Swans and the Giants. Saints Hawks do battle at Marvel Saturday twilight. Cats Dogs first Saturday nighter. Second Saturday nighter, Crows and Blues. Is there a chance for a Crows upset? They've played pretty well this year. They are a side that never gives up. They will have to wait and see how they go. The Suns and the Eagles at Metricon first game Sunday. Richmond, Brisbane, danger game for the Lions, and then the Bombers and the Roos will finish us off the round. So, how are we going now? Live ladder is don't need to turn that on because it's already updated. But the Cats sit lonely up on the top. They'll be happy with that. Game clear of the Demons, Demons, Lions, and Pies all equal on points to Collingwood. They're a game behind top spot. They are a chance to make the top 4. So we'll have to do another run home video soon and see how teams are going maybe. But the Dockers are in 5th on 50 points after that draw. And then the Blues and the Swans 48 points. And they are 2 games clear of the Doggies on 40 points. And the Saints are also on 40 points in 9th. The Tigers are 38 points. with that draw. So just half a game outside top 8. Port Adelaide, Gold Coast, you think their seasons could be over at 32 points each. Hawks are on 28 and 13th. The Bombers, 14th, 24 points. The Giants are in 15th on 20 points. And the Crows are in 16th on 20. So you'd be thinking the bottom 4 would be set. And the top 7 would be set. Not in this formation, but yeah, we've got a pretty clear top 7 there. Now to some stat leaders, let's go. Alright, something I don't do normally is check out some stats, but Charlie Kerner is smashing the Coleman medal with 57 goals. Jeremy Cameron, 52. Hawkins, 49. Clayton Oliver leads in disposals, and then with 581. Angus Brayshaw in marks. Then his score involvements, Tommy Hawkins with 151. Now in some other top player stats, Brayshaw with the most fantasy, 132 tackles for Berry. Led also pretty close, of course, it was going to be them two, and 296 contested possessions for Clayton Oliver. We don't need to know about the speed, but let's just go and have a little look at how this Coleman medal's tracking out. So here are some of the leaders. So Charlie Kerner, 57, Cameron, 52, Hawkins, 49, 45 for Peter Wright, 44 for Norton, 42 for King, and Cameron, 40 for Fritsch, 39 for Walker, Lynch, 38 for Mackay, and Franklin, as well as Troll and Marshall. So that is how the things are shaping up. There's your top 14. But yeah, who's got the most average? Kerno, 3.2, 2.9 for Cameron, 2.8 for Walker, 2.8 for Lynch, 2.7 for Hawkins. But there we go. That's the Coleman medal. We're going to go back to the matches. However, big round of footy. Massive 3 games that we just went over. Massive next few rounds to come. In fact, we might just be able to have a little bit of a brief look at them. Why not? This is what we've got. Round 20. I went through round 20 not too long away. Round 21. Here's what's to come in that round. Some massive games. I'm not going to be going through them because time does, well, go very fast. But yeah, round 23. Still waiting for the fixture to be released on that. Cannot wait. Some blockbuster games in there. Well, anyway, thank you guys all so much for watching. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you guys never miss another video on the channel. Thank you guys all so much for watching. Bye everyone. Flaming Footy out.